Hello and welcome back to Good Game Nation, where we bring you all things TCG. My name is Preston, and I'm here with Sam. Say hello.
Hello, it's me, Sam, here for Meta Monday on Monday.
Ooh, we're getting good at releasing these on time. It's exciting.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought our biggest struggle would have been releasing Meta Monday actually on Monday?
Honestly, our biggest struggle is pronouncing names wrong, correctly.
Oh, that's so embarrassing. Considering I've watched all of it and read half of it now, it's so embarrassing. I swear I knew his name was Karu. I
I
swear.
I feel like it's a good running gag on the channel. We can't pronounce names, and Meta Monday comes out on a Tuesday.
As long as I don't mess it up this time, it'll be on a Monday, I promise. But we are here with Meta Monday, where we review decks that were posted online, usually winning tournaments or stuff we found interesting. We have two decks here today, and we're gonna talk about them for you guys.
Yeah, a powerhouse of the current meta, leaving set one meta shortly, but
Sure.
uh let's jump into the tweet. We find stuff on Twitter. Thank you for posting your deck list on Twitter. We like and retweet and encourage you guys to follow people that post stuff so that they feel seen.
Absolutely.
Uh,
I have a gentleman. I'm not going to attempt his name because I will butcher it. His link will be down in the bio. His name is, I believe, Luis, and
yeah.
he posted a Kaido deck. He went 4-0. He beat a red Zoro, blue purple Kaido, mono, and two mono Kaidos. A lot of purple in this deck in this tournament. He has it here, and we have it here posted in Dev. Dev will also be linked down below. Very helpful tool for all card purposes. And here we have the list.
Yeah. So cards that you can't see the counts of is Buena Vista at 4,
Yep.
Ulti at 4, and
Uda.
X Drake at 4.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, Uda. I've been messing those up all day. You
He.
names, man. Uh, all at 4.
Yes.
Uh, so this is a heavily film splash deck,
Yes.
which makes it a little bit more unique because we're seeing a combination of high film deck card, like high counts on film deck, to just the Udas, to throwing in Bullet because his effect is really nasty.
Yep.
Um, so it's really interesting to see a little bit of a heavier film count.
Yeah. Things that are interesting here is the one-off of Jack. I think that is incredibly interesting. I wonder what the thought behind was it, because we do have a lot of ramp here. We do have four Sakis. We do have four Onigashimas. So I find that very interesting. I wonder what the. But other than that, I really enjoy the film package. I think the film package is a little undervalued because of the explosiveness of purple. You know, you want to play a lot of kings. You want to play, your Kaidos. So we were oftenly forgetting about these film cards. But Uda is an incredibly powerful card.
Yeah.
It's very strong against very tempo focused decks. And you said it yourself, Bullet next to Kaido is probably the most disgusting big drop. Bullet
Yeah.
definitely can change the game if you see it. And, Buena Vista on top of it is also a 2K combo. So he's also adding, that defensive feature as well. So these cards always seem to have value when you draw them. So the package here is very nice in my opinion.
Yeah, and the only weird part is Buena Vista, if you're attempting to play it, is gonna probably whiff. You're probably holding it for 2K counter. Uh, and it would probably be your designated 2K counter because you're most likely gonna want to play your Sasakis, yeah.
Yeah.
For so it's good to have a backup. And then there's also ulti. So it's really weird for a splash because you're probably not going to play it. You just end up playing 12 2K counters, which is that too much in your opinion? I feel like it's pretty heavy.
I think
Um,
this is a different kind of deck because there are a lot of blockers, and I'm thinking of it the way you would play maybe a green deck where you would stamp a Law and just keep Law alive, or not Law, I'm sorry, Kid. But maybe for this deck you stamp Uda, and we keep Uda alive, and Uda is absolutely just ruining your opponent. And Buena Vista actually gives you the option for a turn one play. Purple is the only one deck that actually doesn't really have any good turn one plays. So if
right.
you actually go first and you have a Buena Vista, it's not a terrible play. Because if you do hit an Uda or if you can hit Bullet, that'd be even crazier. But if you do hit, it's definitely a huge plus for this deck
Right.
because it doesn't have much draw other than Queen, so that could be a nice swing. The event cards as well are pretty standard. You know, the more we review purple decks, the more purple decks win. Blast Breath has been very prevalent. So I recommend if you haven't tried that as a tech, one drop 4K. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that would have been a good card?
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, especially because that -1's gonna come from the one you tapped already anyway, so it doesn't matter.
it's excellent.
Um,
It's
but yeah,
actually
these are.
it's
Go
actually
ahead.
more 2Ks as well. Drake as well is also a 2K.
I completely forgot the Drake
That's
was a 2K.
16 2K combos. This is an incredibly
Oh,
defensive deck.
yeah.
It's this is an
Um,
exciting one. I like this.
yeah, and like you were saying about the counter events, Blast Breath and Thunder Bayuga are the two that we see played in most. Um, Most of the time at a 4-2.
Yeah,
Um, this at a 3-3 isn't bad. Like it's just as good because if you get a Byuga in life, is the ramp is I believe in Byuga's trigger, so it's not a bad card to see coming out of your life. Or you can hold it and can get its benefit from being a counter also. So pretty good card. I do think the meta has it pretty tight with those two as um, the main counters. The
yeah,
only other one that I think people, oh, I guess it's not. Never mind. It's not a counter. The Lion's threat from the film deck
true.
is an activate main that I've seen people play also,
It's
and
another
film.
film
So
card. Yeah,
it could have been a interesting splash to have
yeah.
uh, the Lion's Head event card in this deck just for another target.
Yep. Mortarhead is the other one I think we see a little bit of about as well, but I do think this is a more defensive version of this deck. I think that was intentional. So having more 4K counters to keep this defensive push alive, I think is more valued than more card draw. So yeah, I think that was the intent, and I like this more defensive version, of this deck with of course, the kings, the bullets, and the kaidos. It's hard to think of purple as defensive when you have those in your deck.
Right. You
Hmm.
stall out to get to your big boss guys,
Yep.
and then you just play multiple of them in this
Yep.
case.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing this deck. This is definitely very cool. I definitely like this defensive spin on this Kaido deck.
Yeah.
And then we do have one more deck from the Philippines. And we'll swing it up right here. This gentleman's handle is CHDAAAAAA. We have 5 round tournament. He lost round 1 but recovered greatly. We have another Kaido deck. Gonna have again posted in the description down below. Give him a follow, give him a like, give him a tweet. Bring it up right here for you guys. Why I zoomed in too much? Let's try one. There we go. Some similarities immediately. We have another Buena Vista, another film package. This one is not running bullet though.
Yeah. Buena Vista at 4, Uda at 3, Drake
Yes,
at 4 if you
yes,
can't
yes,
see them.
yes, yes, yes.
Um, yeah, I think it's kind of a proof that the film deck is going to make its waves. I would like to see people playing some of the other guys out of it. Was his
Yeah,
name Guarino?
I like that guy. The 5 drop
Yeah,
6K where you draw 2 cards. He does cost 2 Don to do it, but I do like that option.
it's Guild Torreso. I am
Yes.
awful.
I
Moving on.
you mentioned the 3 counts earlier, and I think this deck does do more of this. We've talked about 3 counts in other games before, where you're able to just run a couple more option cards instead of seeing more of the more 4 counts, basically. And we have 3 Blast Breaths, we have 3 Thunders, we have 3 Utas, 3 Ultis, 3 Who's. Just to give us more options against different decks.
Yeah, especially this deck's playing Brachio Bomber, which I don't see played very often,
Mm-mm.
mostly because I think it's a very expensive card for what it does.
Yeah.
But it has a pretty devastating effect to your opponent's board if you do have to play it. So it's a great backup card in my opinion. I don't think you're going to play it every game because you should be controlling the board already. But
Right.
getting rid of a card with 6 or less on the board is going to be pretty devastating to take out like most of Red's cards.
Right.
Like especially Red's main attackers are all going to get hit by that.
Right.
A lot of blue stuff doesn't get hit with this because I believe they're all 7 and higher. So it's an interesting tech. Um, but also this is probably very local dependent.
Uh-huh.
They're probably seeing a lot of stuff that they need Brachio Bomber so that they can get through
Huh?
that mid game.
No, I think you hit it on the head. I think Brachio Bomber lost favor when 9 drop Kaido got really prevalent because, in the same way where Crocodile and Sobbles are the same, Kaido and Brachio Bomber share the same kind of thing where we could play Kaido and establish a board presence instead of just playing Brachio Bomber and another 3 drop. So Kaido really just kind of overshadowed the Brachio Bomber. But I think you're right. I think there was a local. I think red is the primary target here. I think I agree with that as well. I think if they have access to film decks, maybe they have access to Yasop, maybe they have access to they're definitely playing starter Luffy.
Right.
A lot of the big drops are hit red. You don't really want to. Maybe it's a mirror match thing. Maybe they're playing a lot of queens. Maybe they're playing a lot of kings.
Right.
Um, but it definitely doesn't really hurt green or blue very much, which at least for us has been very prevalent. But it seems like also looking at the at what he played against, we have 2 Kaidos, Zoro and a Kaido. So it seems like it was very purple and red, which Brachio Bomber does hit harder.
Right.
And then another card that's very interesting. We saw it before with the
Yeah.
the blue purple croc we reviewed a little bit ago. But again, Rush Queen. Rush Queen's a card that doesn't get a lot of value probably because the other Queen is probably the best purple card. So it's just overshadowed. But another Rush card, and then we have 2 Rush Kaido as well. This is a very aggressive red deck in my opinion.
Yeah, kind of
A purple deck.
uh kind of on opposite ends, I think, from the
Yeah.
previous deck we just showed. Um, I think that this queen will raise in value because it is rush, especially if red starts to be even more aggressive in set two. I feel like having rush on your side. I don't know if any other color except for purple and red have it, and purples are strong.
Yep.
Red has a lot of lower end and mid game, and then Shanks. Uh, I don't think
That
anyone
shakes.
else has it. Yeah, that's Shanks.
Yeah, that
Uh,
shakes.
um, but purple's rush are huge.
Yeah.
So if you're able to attack on the first turn with 10k with your Kaido, or even get a good swing off with this queen, uh, I think it's going to catch a lot of your opponents off guard. Because usually when I'm playing, I look at my opponent's board as they're going, like, oh, they only have one attack on board. I
Yeah.
know they're not playing a card with rush. Going up against purple and not knowing,
Yeah.
that can be devastating. You could be unprepared for a queen to drop, especially with the lower cost than the Kaido.
No, I think surprise factor is a great concept because I think when you're deck building purple, it's an overshadow card as a current state of the meta, and you're not really gonna run into it a lot. So it's definitely gonna surprise people. It also minuses 2K as well, so we're able to remove maybe some pesky blockers. It really depends, on the board state, but that's another nice option card. There's not a lot of cards, and I actually don't think there's any cards in purple that actually minuses the strength on the board. And Queen has that option.
Right.
And I like seeing this 2-2 split from King and Kaido. This was also the same in the last deck. I think this is probably going to be the standard moving forward as well.
Yeah. At least with set one stuff, this
Yeah.
is a very, very strong top end
Yep.
for sure.
Yep. I agree. And I think everything else is pretty standard. I like seeing Ulti again. Ulti was a card that kind of fell off a little bit, but I think we're valuing a little more of the 2K combos, especially in purple, because the early game is more of a survive until we can play our big drops. So surviving just to get there is important. I think Ulti is probably the best card besides Buena Vista to get there.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, that would
I think so. Yeah, thank you for stopping by and seeing our Meta Monday video. Let us know what you thought about the decks in the comments down below. Go give those guys follows on Twitter, and what else? Like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. You're on YouTube, you know what to do. Thank you for watching, and until next time, bye bye.
bye bye.